here. Copy and paste. And I'm going to go ahead and drop it in here. All right. I got it sent over to you.
Lovely.
All right, and then I take a few seconds. I just got to test the audio, make sure the audio sounds good. Really quick here. Get this pulled up. Pull it up on my phone. I take a few seconds. I just got to test the audio, make sure the audio sounds good. All right, I think we're sounding good. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Mortis Media, for joining me on the first night of Hallowstreams. That's it's something I've been trying to do for some time. Halloween's been my favorite holiday, and so I wanted to do something fun. So I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to join.
Yeah, so funny story. I'm a big fan of your channel, long time fan. I think you started your channel in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. There was a couple of times I've had to move across country, and your channel always is a good go-to for me, just because you have so many videos that are quite longer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I appreciate you. You made some moves for me a lot more bearable, so I appreciate you for that.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I can help.
Yeah. So yeah, anyways, I'll kind of just go ahead. I have some fun questions for you. But yeah, and you don't have to answer any question you don't want to, and you don't have to try to make me feel good on any questions or anything like that. So I just want to make sure you know that. But I'm really appreciative. I'm a big fan. Yeah, it's a little bit surreal for me. So I'm gonna try to keep my nerves here. But I appreciate you. All right. Let's see. So I'll ask you. I have a couple of questions. I've got for you, and then the chat will probably more than likely have some questions for you too. I'll pick a few there, but yeah, let me pull up some good questions here for you. Let me pull these up really quick. All right. So number one, for my first question for you, Mortis, what inspired your channel?
Well, let me take you back a few years. Well, maybe even longer than a few years. When I grew up, I read a book that my mum and I found at a boot fair, which is kind of like a big yard sale.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all about ghosts and the paranormal and everything, and I must have read it about 15 times, cover to cover. It was a book designed for, I don't know, people of around 10 to 12, which is what I was at the time. And it just really interested me. It showed all the famous pictures of ghost photographs, haunted places, people's experiences, UFOs, and it really got me interested. And from there I progressed to shows on Discovery, like haunted hotels and stuff like that. And it was always at the forefront of my mind. When I went to university, well, just before I went to university, my dad told me one day, "You've got to decide what you're going to do." Mm-hmm. In England, it's a bit different to the States, where you don't. I know in the States you have like a major and a minor, and you do like a whole load of different things. In England, it's more like you pick your subject and you do stuff that's generally and mostly related to the subject, mm-hmm. and that's pretty much it. So after a good long week of thinking, I thought, well, if I'm being brutally honest, the only thing I really could possibly consider learning about full time is about ghosts. And so I said, you know, I've had a think, and I really want to study ghosts. And he just looked at me and was like, yeah, I don't think that's going to get you anywhere. There was actually one degree in the States at an online university, and I was like, yeah, look, I could do this. And he's like, no, you're not doing that. So I studied something else instead. But I've always been fascinated and interested in it, hearing other people's ghost stories, their experiences. You know, me personally really wanting to see anything paranormal. Nothing yet so far.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just always been there. And then about, yeah, like when you said, like, I started a job at a company in 2014, and the job was really boring. So I started watching stuff while working, and you know how YouTube just recommends stuff. It recommended me to the creepypasta channels. You know, the OGs like creepypasta and Mr. Creepypasta. They're really, really good channels. I've always loved them, and you know, I was there before Mr. Nightmare even started. So you know, I was listening to all these people, and when Mr. Nightmare started, and then Lazy Masquerade and stuff, and people like that, you know, the real original people. Mm-hmm. I started listening to all of them because I didn't have to watch what was on the screen. I could just listen and do my work. Mm-hmm. And then eventually Rob Dyke, who's now Rob Gavigan, popped up, and this might be before your time, but he had a competition where he would send you like a couple of $1,000s worth of gear, you know, to prove that you wanted to be a YouTuber, and it was like a really cool opportunity, you know, mad respect for him for doing that. And me and my friends thought, wow, this is a great opportunity to do something cool, maybe earn some money and get some stuff. Mm-hmm. So I wrote a script for a short horror film that's under 5 minutes long. And we went to my grandma's house on the 30th of December. Okay. At night. It was freezing cold. You know, it's like minus a few degrees. And we recorded this short horror film. And we submitted it. And, you know, that was it. Mm-hmm. And we didn't win. Oh, okay. But then after we didn't win, I had the channel now. And a few months before my birthday, I took the day off. And I was like, I was really inspired to, you know, try and do something, you know, to make a YouTube video, because I love listening to stories. I love horror stories. I love all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I could do something like this. And I took the day off and I recorded, you know, for a few hours, just listened to my voice. And I don't know how it was when you started, but when I started, I heard my voice and I was like, ugh. Yeah. I'm disgusting. Yes. I'm not meant to do this. And so I just said to my wife, no. I sound crap. I can't be a narrator. And then after I had the channel, I felt different about it. I was like, well, I've already started. And I think starting is the hardest part. Once you've actually begun, it's not so bad. So then I just did one video and tried it, and then I think I got 2 comments. Oh, yeah. And those 2 comments meant the world to me. And you know, it's like when your first video, like the first time someone gives you like even a little bit of approval, yeah, it just really makes you think like, wow, maybe what I am doing is good. And so I just kept on putting content out there. It took me 4 months to get 69 subscribers. Oh, yeah. And then, you know, like, you know, you reach out to people and it just keeps going. But, you know, that's how it all started. From a book in what basically is like a flea market or a garage sale. You know, it all started with a book and it just kept on going from there, I suppose. Nice. Do you have that book still? I do. It's at my parents' house. Nice. And I instructed them to never throw it away. Yeah, no. So I want to go back and get it and keep it. But last time I went, I couldn't find it. So, you know, it's probably in the attic in one of the boxes or something. Nice. Yeah, you gotta like frame it. That's awesome. Well, cool. So it sounds like you kind of started it around the concept of like the paranormal. Is that correct? Yeah.
Okay, cool. So funny thing for me, that's probably one of the biggest genres I watch your channel for. I love paranormal stories. Those are like my
Oh,
favorite.
me too.
And
Yeah.
for whatever reason, those happen to be my worst analytics on my channel. And I have no idea why, but I love them so much. I always put one out every couple of months just because. But yeah, they do not do very well for me.
Yeah, I mean, I know they're not the best performing videos. I know that, well, if I were to focus on exclusively Let's Stop Meat kind of stories, stuff involving real people,
Right.
I think my channel could be a bit more successful, but I tell stories because I like stories.
Right.
And, I love paranormal stories, and I just think if I were to tell stories that I don't necessarily want to tell all the time, then I wouldn't love what I do so much.
Right.
And so yeah, like I know my views suffer if I do, content that's a bit out there, but I do it because I like it, and I hope that
Right.
the people who follow me like it as well. Like the other day, I did a video that was all bus horror stories.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't call it bus horror stories because I know people wouldn't click it. But I called it, like, it was all like basically Let's Not Meet anyway, so just like, Let's Not
Right.
Meet stories. But they just all happened to be on a bus. But that to me is interesting, stuff like that. Like it was like the first one was an experience of someone who could have been like raped and or abducted. So yeah, it was, I thought the stories were good, but sometimes you've got to make your audience, you've got to win your audience first on the click, and then,
Yeah.
I hope they like what you produce, because it's really hard with thumbnails and metadata and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
because YouTube is really, really picky. They say a viewer will, when they're scrolling, they'll look at your thumbnail for about 0.6 seconds,
Yeah.
and only then will they decide, they'll decide so quickly if they want to watch that video or not.
Yeah. No, that's
So-
yeah.
So yeah, that's what I have to do. I just have to be like, hey, this is what it's about.
Yeah.
Except it's got loads of buses in it.
Yeah. You got to find that hook.
Mm.
Nice. All right, I got another one for you. So you kind of have a very unique channel name. It's obviously geared towards the creepypasta horror genre. What inspired the name Mortis Media?
Not.
Hello? Oh no, I think we lost you for a second. Hello? Uh-oh, I think we lost you, Mortis. Hello? Oh no, I have bad connection. Hello, Mortis? Mortis,
Hello?
you there? Oh, I think I lost you. Sorry about that.
You back? We back?
Yeah, we're back. Sorry about that. I think I lost you.
That's alright. Well, so long as you can hear me. To answer your question, I was not involved in the naming of the channel whatsoever.
Really?
Yeah, so I told you that it all started off with me and 5 friends, well, my wife and her sister and 3 friends, I suppose. So there were 6 of us, and we got around about a week before we shot the film, talking about the YouTube channel, what we should call it and stuff like that. So I said, because I knew realistically there was going to be no way we were going to be able to meet up often enough to make these short horror stories. So I wanted to give it a name that was broad enough to not just be, not just something that's about horror stories, like visual.
know. Hello? No, I think I lost you again. Dang it. Dang it. How do I keep losing you? Hey, so sorry about that. I don't know why I keep losing you.
Well, I don't know where we got to, but basically, my friends overruled me on the decision to call the channel Night Terrors. I wasn't very happy with it, but, you know, I was outvoted 5-1.
Oh, wow.
So I just ended up going with Mortis Media. And when everyone kind of bailed on the channel after the first video, they're like, nah, I don't have time anymore. They couldn't be bothered. So, you know, I just rolled with it, and I didn't know how to change the channel name, so I just kept it. I think I tried to change it once or twice, but everyone hated it. And I wanted to just change the channel to Mort after a while, but there's an animation channel called Mort with more subscribers than me, so I was like, this is pointless.
Okay.
So yeah. So yeah, it is just what it is now.
Okay, that's cool. Night Terrors, that's a pretty cool name. Yeah, I could definitely get behind that. Nice, that's cool. Well, that definitely makes sense.
How did you pick your name, by the way? It's a really interesting name.
That's actually a funny story. I was in college, and I wanted to start a business, and so I'm a big fan of like different types of like t-shirts and things like that. And I'm like, well, what would be like really cool for a t-shirt? And I like different concepts. I actually watched a video on like this guy had like this rat colony or something, and he like would breed these rats and would feed them food and like eliminated all the predators just to see what would happen. And like over time, this society of rats got like really like out of control and like got really backwards and stuff like that. And he related it to like entropy. And I thought that was a really cool name, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I made it for like a shirt, and then like later on, I was like, yeah, I don't want to make T-shirts anymore for like a business. And so I was like, that would be a really cool name for like a YouTube channel. And I was a big fan of all these different creepypasta channels and stuff like that. So I just threw it out there, and that's kind of what it has been.
It's a good name. Out of curiosity, what did happen to the rat colony?
Oh, great question. So, what ended up happening was like, there would be like different breeds of like male rats. Some would be like alphas, and some would be like they couldn't find mates, so they would like mate with other like males, and they ended up like eating themselves. Because like even though they had like a surplus of food, they would eat them, like they would eat the weaker rats, and like it would just keep like getting like more backwards and things like that. So that kind of freaked me out, and I was like, oh, that like will we ever get to that point in society where we'll have like different like subspecies of humans where like we'll eat each other or something? I don't know, but I don't know. Yeah, hopefully not. Yeah, but yeah. I've already kind of asked you this one. What's your favorite type of video to make for your channel? Obviously, you like the paranormal. Are there any other types of videos that when you get that idea, you're like, oh, this is going to be a great video? Let's see. Oh, no. Did I lose him again? Dang it. I keep losing Mort. No. Let's see, Mortis, you there, buddy?
I am.
Okay, sorry. I don't know why I keep losing you.
Yeah, I don't know if it's mine or yours, but my Wi-Fi has generally been pretty stable.
Mine has too. I don't know if it's I don't know what's going on. So yeah, this is the first time this has ever happened, so I'm really sorry.
It's alright. I'm gonna move my laptop close to the router one sec. I mean, I don't know if this will make a difference, but whatever, I'm close to the router now.
Okay.
So, do I have a favorite video, type of video? I really like the cryptid stories. They do quite well on the channel. People seem to like them in the comments. And I like reading about them and stuff, just out of personal interest. The problem is the stories, once you've read as many as I have, it gets harder to find ones that you haven't read before.
Right.
And then obviously, you know, sometimes people don't even give you permission to read them, so you can read something great and it's like, I can't even share it with anyone. So, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, cryptids are always really fun next to ghosts.
Oh, nice. Yeah, no, the cryptids by far, they do the best. Skinwalkers in particular do the best on my channel. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, they're still like a really hot topic. People still really want to hear about them.
Nice. So you get a lot, because I was checking your channel, so it looks like you do primarily true stories.
Oh yeah, I don't. Sometimes in January I might dive into a creepypasta, but generally speaking, it's all true stories. But you know, assuming you believe in the paranormal, so you know, if you don't, I suppose it's like alleged true stories. But you know, generally stuff that people claimed has happened to them and they personally perceive as true. I just present it.
Right.
It's up to you to decide whether it's true or not.
Okay, so I guess that's one of the probably the biggest things that would make your channel stand out, aside from your voice and your accent and things like that. Because most channels I know are they do just creepypastas, or they do a little bit of a blend, but very rarely do you see primarily just true stories.
I just prefer them. Like listening, they're not always very well written, but I that's just my personal preference. I'd rather listen to something that's real than something that has just come out of someone's head.
Right. No, I gotcha. Well, cool. So something, I guess that's where I'm a little bit different. Where when I first started, that was when the Reddit blacklist was a big thing. Do you know what that I'm referring to?
Yes, the watchdogs.
Yes. So when I first started, that was like very big, and I was on Reddit and I was asking so many people for different, for permission to different videos, and no one would give me permission. Like I had like 10 subscribers, and either I couldn't get permission or they wanted me to pay them, and I was like, I'm just gonna write my own, because I growing up I would write my own scary stories. Like I thought like that was a lot of fun.
That's really cool.
And so it kind of evolved into that, where most of my stories are actually stories I just write.
That's really cool. I mean, I respect that you write your own stories. I've tried to write a few, but obviously they've never really been very good.
Yeah, well, let me know if January comes, or if you have a genre of video you want to do. I have tons of different ones I can send you. But yeah,
that's really cool. Thank you.
But that's something for me, especially because there's so many cool stories out there, and I'm just like, oh, if only they'd changed this little thing, or if they just did this, that would make it a great story. Where that's something I like about what I can do with my stories, is I can kind of navigate where I want to go with those. But yeah, well, cool. So if we were to go on your personal YouTube channel, what kind of videos do you watch on say we are Mortis Media and we hop on? What do you typically watch throughout the day?
I'm going to be honest with you, bro. I don't actually consume much YouTube at all. I've got three daughters, so my time is
okay.
You know, it's between my wife, my girls, and you know, my job, and you know. Do you have kids?
I don't have kids, no.
Yeah. Well, if you want to, it takes up so much of your time, and obviously that's just amplified the more you get.
Right.
So yeah, if I watch anything, it would be probably really short stuff, and not YouTube Shorts. I don't like clicking on them because I feel like every time I try and click on them, I go down a rabbit hole and I just keep scrolling and watching stuff, and I don't want to do that because
Right.
I don't have enough time to waste doing that.
Okay.
I generally watch. What are they called? A guy called Long Beach Griffey. I find him really funny.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah, I know Long Beach.
oh yeah, I find him hilarious. And ProZD. Yeah, I find him quite funny as well.
Okay.
But yeah, and yeah, just stuff like that really. Just short stuff. And yeah. People saying in the comments, Joan B, that we're not being super interactive. Sorry, Joan. We I think Entropic said he would take questions from the comments at the end. Hope that's alright.
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, I'm just trying to get the most out of Mortis while I got him here. Yeah, we can definitely take some questions. Let's see. Mainly just people just saying that they love your stuff. They want to know, is any of your stuff on Apple Podcasts?
I'm going to be honest, it's a lot of work to find the stories, get permission for them, record them, make a video out of it. All of this stuff takes a hell of a lot of time. And I have diversified out into podcasts, but not as much as I would have liked to. It is something I'm going to be doing a lot more in future, but there is stuff on there already. I know I'm on Spotify and a bunch of other places as well. But yeah.
Okay.
But I recently launched an app where I think I've got over about 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 stories. I've got a lot of stories on there, so I'm kind of focusing more on that because yeah.
Okay, nice.
I just personally think it's more organized because I can put all my stuff on there, but I can't necessarily upload everything to Apple Podcasts, individual stories and stuff like that.
Okay, nice. Yeah, that was actually one of my questions. I noticed a couple nights ago you mentioned your app. Yeah, do you want to share with us a little bit about your app? I
mean, it's basically a scary story app. Okay. I've recorded a lot of stories in the 5-6 years I've been doing this, and probably because there's so many stories and they're all spread out in different videos, you're probably never going to hear them all. So I was reached out by a guy called Craig, lovely guy. We got talking and he said, look, I want to make the app for you. And I said, okay, let's do it. Originally, I wasn't super convinced that the app was going to be successful, but we put work into it and I'm pretty glad with it. It's just a massive archive of all the stories I've done, basically. And yeah, we're about to add a new feature where you get even older stories that are told in a not so great way because I didn't have like a proper setup and good microphone and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a cool little project we're working on the side.
Okay, nice. I know there is I don't know if you follow too much of the horror community or whatever. There's another app that's out right now called the Chilling app. I don't know if you're too familiar.
Yeah. I mean, I'm good friends with Dane. We we chat on the phone and stuff like that every once in a while. But yeah, we actually he called me up on the phone like when I announced my app, and he was like, "Bro, I'm also about to launch my app." But the thing is, I revealed it to my followers a little bit before he did.
Oh, really?
But his app was actually ready to launch before mine was. But yeah, I mean, his app's really good, and he gets loads of people to narrate on there, which I think is really cool as well. But I just want to keep my app to do with me,
Okay.
That's just the way I want the app. So yeah, but he's got a really good thing going.
Okay. Nice. No, yeah. I saw that and I was like, oh, I wonder if that's like a conflict of interest. And I wasn't sure if you knew being scared or not. But it sounds like.
Oh yeah, we're funnily enough, I reached out to his channel when he had like 100 subs to work with me. I had 5,000, so I wasn't like whoa. But when someone has 5,000 and you have like 100, it feels like a big deal. And I was like, hey, can you work with me on this video? And he said yes, and we got talking and we started becoming really close. Yeah, we've been friends for like 5 years now. He's really cool.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. I remember stumbling across one of his videos, and I was very blown away at the time. And I think he was, I want to say like 60 or 70,000. Obviously, he's much bigger now. But yeah, that's really cool. That's cool how that happens. How you both are both very successful in the YouTube horror. So cool. Let's see. Yeah, that was actually going to be another question of mine. Who are some of your favorite horror narrators? I don't necessarily, that doesn't necessarily mean he's one of your favorites, but what are some different horror channels that you like to listen to?
Well, I mean, I haven't had the chance to listen to horror channels for, a while from life and stuff.
Right.
But I would like to. I do like listening to the Paranormal Scholar. Her and her husband produce some really good videos, some really interesting stuff. I always have the bell on for their videos. They don't release often, but what they do is usually very good. I really like Killer Orange Cat as well. He's also a good friend of mine. He's got a really
nice.
unique voice, and I love him to bits. He's a great guy.
Okay.
Let's see. Some of the smaller channels as well. I think the stuff they're producing is great. Papa Scare, I love his voice.
Dude, Papa Scare is my boy. I love Papa Scare.
He's so cool, yeah. I really like Jay Nightmares as well. I think those two. I think they've got serious potential. Those two.
Oh, for sure. They're actually gonna be on later on this week.
Oh yeah, good. Yeah, well that's really cool.
Yeah, they're cool. I like those guys.
I think I really like Raven Reed's voice. I think she's really good. I remember working with her when she just started out. Well, like had a few thousand subs or something like that. But yeah, she's always been pretty chill. I really like the way she narrates as well.
Yeah.
I
like Raven a lot too.
Yeah, and this one may be before your time, but Kaylee Elise, she's gone now. She even deleted her channel, but she was really, really good. It's a shame. She was really talented, but yeah.
Okay, cool.
Nice. Can we just address some of the
Yeah, of course.
some of the questions in the in the comments, just
yeah, of course,
just so that people know we do care, right?
We do, yes, of course. Yeah, no, Banshee wants to know, have you had any interactions with cryptids, and if so, which kind?
I'm afraid I haven't had any interactions with cryptids, but I've only ever had one kind of disturbing thing that's ever happened to me in my life. In 2013, my wife was living in France. We were not married then, but we were together. And I went to see her, and we went to see a film in the center of the town where she lived, or like the city. She lived in the outskirts, and you had to get like a 40-minute bus just to get back. So we got on the bus, and it was one of those nights where it was dark, it was raining a little bit, but it was, it was a nice, pleasant night. Now, her street is about 3/4 of a mile long, and there's one lamppost at about every 1/4 of a mile. So, it illuminates only so far, and then you've got patches of darkness until you get to the next lamppost. And it's a residential area, so it's mostly houses everywhere. And we're walking this straight road. Now, some houses, for whatever reason, have been dark or boarded up for ages. We've walked past this house that I'm referring to every day a number of times, and we'd never seen a car in the driveway. We'd never seen any movement or interaction. Everything had been closed, shut, boarded up. It just looked like a house that had been left alone for a long, long ass time. And we're walking back in the dark. Most houses will have a light or two trickling out of them. It wasn't very late, so people shouldn't have been in bed yet. It was about 10. And as we pass the house, which I always considered abandoned, with like crap thrown all over the lawn and stuff like that, just as we're passing it, we hear like what sounds like your typical maniacal demonic laughter, like I can't do it, but it came out of this. You have to imagine the silence the rain is falling so gently that it's almost muffling every other sound around you. The only sound is of this light rain, our breath, and, the occasional conversation as we're holding hands and walking in this very dark and unilluminated place. When all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this laughter just erupts from the darkness. And seriously, it scared the crap out of us, and we just ran all the way to her house. It only lasted about 10 seconds, but we did, once we arrived at her house and we were under the porch light, we said, should we go back and check it out? But we decided not to. I went back in and fell asleep. The next morning when we came out, we walked past the house slowly and had a good look. There didn't appear to be anyone there. There was no car. I mean, realistically, it could have been a homeless man who was waiting in the dark to see us. I mean, you have to have pretty good night vision to see us, to be fair. To see us coming up, I suppose, and just waited and to scare us. But, I mean, there was no sign of anyone being there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's always been it's probably the creepiest, scariest thing that's ever happened to me. And I don't know what it was. I mean, more likely than not, it was a person. But still, It could not have been. It was very creepy.
Interesting. Yeah, I have some. So I want to respect your time. What kind of time frame do you have for this? I want to make sure I'm.
Yeah, the girls were asleep, so I'm good for a while still, bro.
Okay, cool. I have some good questions I want to ask you. So you.
Yeah, sure.
So you got. You made me ask. So I'm gonna jump around here a little bit. So you mentioned that. What kind of things, not necessarily conspiracies, but like what kind of cryptids, what do you personally believe is true versus not true?
Good question. I think I'm more inclined to believe that black-eyed kids are a work of fiction. The Paranormal Scholar did a great video analysing why she thinks that, and I'm not going to spoil it, it's really worth a listen or a watch. But that's one I think is probably more fake than real. I think a lot of UFO encounters I read are probably just wishful thinking.
Okay.
And let me think, I'm just trying to think of the cryptids in my head. Bigfoot. Whenever I've read a Bigfoot story, they seem really legit. And that doesn't always mean they are, but I'm more inclined to believe in Bigfoot than perhaps other cryptids. Skinwalkers, I actually had the pleasure really of speaking with someone from a tribe. I can't tell you what they told me because they told me I wasn't allowed to reveal this information. I know I make it sound super cryptic.
No, yeah.
But I've agreed not to do that, so I won't.
Okay, yeah, of course.
But yeah, and I'm just going to say that after speaking with them, I'm more inclined to believe the Native American, mythologies and stuff like that. I'm more inclined to believe that than most other cryptids. Stuff like the Dogman and werewolves and stuff, I've never really believed in anyway. But one that's always interested me is stuff like the fairies.
Okay.
It's weird and it's interesting, but some of the stories I've read, again, they can all just be like crap people make up. But it's like really interesting, especially when it's to do with like time slips and really weird stuff. Like you walk around in a circle, you're like, oh, I've just been here,
right?
And then people are like, dude, you've been gone 4 hours, and you're like, what? Stuff like that. It's like, what happened here?
Right.
What happened there?
Yeah, that's interesting.
So, yeah.
I feel like the fays and the fairies and like gnomes and things like that, that's very much like a European cryptid. Where here over on my side, we have a lot of like wendigos and skinwalkers and rakes and things like that, which I think is interesting because there's a little bit of a romantic kind of like era, like aura, like with like the different cryptids in Europe. I feel like it's very enchanting, where here it's like you're gonna die or something. So
Yeah, everywhere has like its own like mythologies and stuff.
right.
And I find it super interesting. Joan B asks, "What about Mothman?" I mean, I've read the stories, I've heard videos about it, and I'm more inclined to believe that Mothman was real, because after lots of people saw him, he vanished, and that's it. He was gone. Maybe it died. I mean, anything organic probably has to die.
Right.
So yeah, I personally would believe in the Mothman. But yeah.
Okay, I want to add another question someone asked. They want to know, do you have merch?
I mean, I do. I've just released a new line. I migrated everything off Teespring onto this other site called Fourth Wall. Funnily enough, I took about a month with a designer trying to come up with cool merch, and it's all based around cryptids.
Oh, nice.
So there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I love this story, so I wanted to base it around that.
That's awesome. Well, cool. Yeah, definitely plug the merch in the chat for sure. I'm sure people would love to pick some of that up. Jamie Jones had a really great question. I actually was going to ask you this question, but she beat me to it. When did you discover your talented voice, and did you need convincing to go public with it? Were you hesitant? What were the milestones in your storytelling that made you share yourself with the rest of us?
I'm gonna be honest. It's a bit of a hard question, because when people talk about my talent as a voice narrator, I don't know if it's fair, because my talent appears to be putting people to sleep. So I don't know how
That's a
talented
huge
that is.
talent. That's a huge talent.
Yeah, I mean, in some respects it must be. With my wife can't sleep, I'm always like, why don't you just put on one of my videos? I'm sure I'll bore you to sleep, and we both have a little laugh.
That's funny.
But what was I going to say? But yeah, I mean, like, when I started my channel, I didn't think I was special or good or anything. I just did it because I liked it.
Right.
I mean, I'm glad people liked my voice enough to stick around, but I never thought I was like super talented or anything. I'm just glad that people like what I do and like my voice. That's nice. I mean, I like hearing that and I like reading that, but I've never thought I was like, wow, really good. I still don't. I think I'm just okay. Obviously, I've got better the more I've done it.
Oh, yeah.
But maybe I'm just comparing myself. But I still hear, like, I'm a big audio consumer of like audiobooks and stuff like that. So
nice.
I listen to like Stephen Fry, Nigel Planer, Michael Briggs, Stephen Briggs, and I listen to all these narrators, and I think, wow, they're so good. But maybe it's just because when you narrate audiobooks, you have to do characters and stuff like that, and I don't ever really have to do that.
Right. Well, yeah. Let's see. I was going to ask you. So you mentioned your wife. Does your wife listen to your stuff?
No.
Yeah.
No,
Nice.
she lives with me. I mean, she doesn't need to listen.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'm in the same boat then. My wife doesn't listen to any of the stuff I put out, which is really funny. Nice. What about? So let me ask you this. Not to inflate your head or anything, but do you consider yourself famous?
No.
You don't
In
think
no
so?
respect whatsoever.
What about your family? Do they think they're like, oh, wow, I'm related to Mortis Media? Do they ever brag about you?
No. Never.
Never.
I mean, well, no. I mean, like my grandma, she'll be like, "Oh, my friends asked what you do, and I showed them your channel, and they said, oh, that's really lovely." But that's like the extent. Like they don't go bragging. There's just no need. I mean, it's just yeah. I mean, it's just normal. I mean, I think a lot of people now who have creative jobs, it's just become a normal thing. I don't think it's really fame. It's just people who enjoy your work.
Okay. I guess maybe I'm more. I mean, obviously I'm a fan and I'm subscribed and I hit the bell on your channel, so I guess I'm a little bit more enamored. I'd guess a little more starstruck, but I definitely think. I mean, you're just under 350. Like you're 349. Like that's a ton of subscribers.
Yeah, I mean, yes, like numerically, yes, it is. It is a lot of people, and that is awe-inspiring. That is like pretty amazing that I've done that work. But at the end of the day, we're all just people, and I think
Right.
I learned to be a bit more humbled about this is because do you know the creator Michael Stevens who does Vsauce?
Yeah. I know Vsauce. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've been watching Vsauce, like not since it came out, but since before he had 1 million subs or anything like that. Like, I remember watching his stuff years ago.
Wow.
He's always been a big inspiration for me.
Okay.
And because I lived in London, some of his videos he recorded in London when he was living in London. And I always wished that one day I would meet him on the street because I thought there was a real chance I could. Because he produced a lot of videos really near where I lived, and I lived really near the YouTube offices.
Okay.
So I was really hopeful I would meet him. And one day, and my wife and I had just got married, and my parents had given us for like our wedding present a honeymoon, in somewhere. And for some reason we picked Vienna.
Okay.
And I said to my boss, "Can I have these days off?" And he said, "No, you have to have one day later." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I booked the flights for one day later. And on my plane, sitting 2 seats in front, was Michael Stevens from Vsauce.
Really?
And I was so starstruck. I couldn't believe he was him. I was like, he's in a normal plane.
Yeah.
He's in an economy seat. He's like, what is happening here? I thought he'd be flying like first class Emirates or something like that.
Yeah.
I kid you not. My mind was like, why is he mingling with us normal people? So when the flight takes off, my wife's like, go talk to him. I was like, I can't do that. He's Michael Stevens. He won't talk to me. And she's like, he's just a dude with a channel. You can talk to him. So
Nice.
I got up and I talked to him, and I was like, you really inspire me. I love what you do. And he was so nice, so friendly, and it really made me smile. And I took 2 terrible selfies with him, and I could see he was working on another video. And I was like, what's your next video about? And he's like, I can't tell you. You're gonna have to find out when you watch the video.
Nice.
And I said, yeah, fair enough, I respect that. So I went back and sat back 2 seats behind him, and I was just like quaking the whole way there. Thankfully, it's a short flight. And when I got to my hotel, I couldn't sleep for like an hour because I was just so in awe that I'd seen this person. And, after that, and after what my wife said, and, after growing a following of my own, you come to realize that it really doesn't matter how many followers you have. At the end of the day, we are just all people who just do something that we really are passionate about. And, we're all just grateful that people follow us and enjoy what we do.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm, like, famous. And also, fame is really fickle because, a lot of people can know your name, but, if, the moment you get a bit too much in the public eye, then people just start talking crap about you and stuff like that. So maybe you're not really famous until people have a reason to hate on you, and you're always in the public eye. I mean, you famous YouTubers, definitely Vsauce and like Logan Paul. Not that I watch him personally, just the first name that comes to mind.
Right.
But people who, what's his name? The name escapes me. I was just talking to my sister-in-law about him the other day. But like the most famous YouTuber in England, I can't remember anymore. I can see his face, but I can't remember the channel name.
I gotcha. Yeah.
But anyway, people like that are famous. People who get the channel, do other stuff, and become really famous from their own work. I still consider myself really small. I would still consider 1 million not very special. Maybe like 10 million, then you can start thinking of yourself as famous.
Then you can start bragging. Nice.
Then never famous.
Yeah. Dang. Well, don't look at my subs, son.
I mean, you're doing really well. 40k is really... Yeah, Mr. Beast, Joan. Absolutely right. 40k is really respectful. That's so good. Well done for getting that far.
Oh, I appreciate it.
I know it's really hard, so, well done. Keep it up.
I think I hit my first year. I think I hit 300 subs, and I was so stoked.
I know how it is.
It is a grind. Here, I have another question. Looks like White Crackers has one for you. I could probably answer this one. Has Mort ever shown his face? From what I understand, I don't think you have.
You are incorrect.
Really?
And by the way, the person I'm thinking of is KSI.
Oh, KSI. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The most British, #1 British YouTuber.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So
I have shown my face.
You have?
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
I don't know if I want to know. I like the mystery.
Well, you don't have to. I mean, you don't have to watch it if you don't want to. But I'm just gonna plug it in the description of the chat.
Okay.
There you go.
Wow.
So if anyone wants to see my face, it's right there. When I get my 100K plaque.
Nice. The coveted 100K plaque. Do you have that hanging up anywhere?
It's not actually hanging. It's sitting next to my Pokemon cards flat in a very sad kind of way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's just to my left. I can see it now.
Oh, nice.
But I would have hung it up, but I put the foam insulation on like a big part of my wall, and it's like in front of me. And I always thought if I was gonna hang it up, I'd hang it up, where I could see it all the time.
Right.
And behind me, I've got like my whiteboard where I write down important things like today you've got a live stream. So yeah, the place is quite small, so there's nowhere else to really hang it. And yeah, so it's kind of just laying in the office. Really sad, to be honest, because I'm so proud of it, but I don't have anywhere to put it.
That's awesome. So Jamie Jones wants to know. Wait. Hold on. I read something. Speaking of live streams, have you done live streams on your channel?
I've done a few, but it's a live stream. Well, it doesn't really take preparation, but
not necessarily. No.
It's like I said. Like when you're a parent, doing stuff like this doesn't always come to the forefront of your mind. Like I'm going to be honest. My wife is. I just saw her when I handed her the baby monitors. She's basically asleep on the sofa. Mm-hmm. So when the kids are in bed, my thought isn't I'm going to do a live stream with my followers. I mean, I would love to, not too frequently, but you just get so tired.
Right.
Just get so tired, like during the day. And it's just that balance. It's like during the day, you have to be a good dad. You also have to be a really good host to your channel by, doing the work you need to do.
Right.
And then all the adult stuff in between. So it's just hard. There are just not enough hours in the day, to be honest. I would love to do more. And around Halloween, I probably will do one. But
nice.
Yeah. Yeah, but very few people come to my live streams. I mean, people rewatch them after, but I don't know if people really care for them. So I don't do them because I don't know if people really can be asked to watch them, to be honest.
Okay. I'm kind of in that boat. I personally like doing them. I like to interact with my channel, my chat, things like that. Yeah. What kind of inspired me to do a little bit more, so Let's Read is one of those channels for me where I would be very starstruck if I ever encountered him in any...
Yeah, met Joel, yeah.
Yeah. So I've just noticed on his live streams, he does quite well on those, and that's something I've noticed, especially with different channels, is you take different things that you like from different channels. Like for you, I take how you have such great stories, and I obviously don't have as cool of an accent as you, but I work on different things. So I have a little bit of lisp when I speak normally. So when I do the channel, I have to really focus on not, being lazy and just lisping or whatever. I have to focus and enunciate properly. But that's something, I take different things from different channels that I like. And so from Let's Read, he does a lot of live streams, and I really like that. So that's something I've taken from him. Is there anything that you've noticed, in other channels? You said you had inspiration from other channels. What are some things that you've taken that you've added to your little bag of talents, if you will?
I think it's different. You don't just read the same old kind of stories, and by that I mean, you know, you have variety in the kind of stories you do. Like I gave the bus example earlier.
Right.
Like it'll be, you know, ghosts, cryptids, you know, even train stories, stuff like that. Stuff that's, you know, just mixing it up and trying to be a bit different.
Right.
The like Lazy Masquerade used to do that. He used to have really cool topics, and I tried to do the same. Phantom Librarian, he was a fantastic.
I
channel,
love
great
Phantom
point.
Librarian. I'm so glad that you know him. Like, you know
yeah,
of him.
He was one of my big. I even messaged him when I first started asking if he'd work with me. He never replied.
Yeah.
But to be fair, you know, given his situation, I understand maybe why he
Right.
wouldn't want to.
Right.
But yeah, it's just sad. He stopped his whole channel. Then he said he might come back. Then he didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
don't know why. I think someone mentioned that it was because he was an army vet, and that if he
Yeah.
was earning on YouTube, it would affect his pension or something like that. So he didn't want to give it up. I'm not sure if that's right. I think that's something someone just told me. But yeah, it was sad because I think he had such a good thing going for him.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love it. I thought his voice was great. I loved his stories.
Oh yeah.
His thumbnails are almost comical to me. Very much like 2015 era, where it's just like
Well, I mean that's when he was doing them. So
Right.
yeah, I mean,
right. But it breaks my heart. Especially, I mean, I think for me, I like to see people happy, and I think that. From what I understand, because I followed that channel even to this day quite closely. Obviously, he hasn't touched it in a while, but I think he had some he had like some anxiety with the channel as well. On top of that, and I think that I don't have the anxiety, but I have different things, especially with, like you said, it can be a beast at times, just trying to keep up with it, and it'll affect your life. So I really hope that Phantom Librarian he's doing better, but like I'm a big fan of his as well. So it's just that's interesting that you mentioned that. I hope he's doing well. That is a channel I haven't thought about in a minute. Goodness, wow. So I have to ask, do you know, or have you ever encountered or spoke to Lazy at all?
I mean, you'll find this out, you know, eventually. But on Twitter, when you hit 100k subs, there is there's a chat that horror creators have on Twitter when you have 100k subs. When we talk about, you know, YouTube related stuff mostly. I've spoken to him a few times on there, and I did reach out to him personally because I asked to use his logo, his mask, in this project I'm working on the side. It's I haven't revealed it to anyone yet, so I can't really give you any details.
Okay.
But a number of horror creators have allowed me to use their likeness or their logo and stuff like that. To put it into this thing that I'm working on. I actually just had a meeting with my artist this morning. We were making some changes to the project. I can't really get into much more detail about it.
Okay.
I've been working on it for like 4 years now, so it's a real labor
Really?
of love.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm really hoping that when it comes out, people like it.
Oh,
But
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, other than that, you know, I think he's really nice. I think his name is Sam, isn't he? Yeah, he's
Yeah,
Sam.
it's Sam. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Sam. Yeah, but I know he lives in Japan now, so
Yeah.
I think he's married as well. He's married to a Japanese lady, and he lives in Japan. So yeah, but you know, I think from what I've spoken to him, he seems really cool. And funnily enough, he is from the exact same part of England as I am.
I was about to say, I was like,
Yeah.
you guys have a very similar accent.
Yeah, we lived really close. Yeah. So yeah, it's just that we lived really close. I don't think his house would have been more than about a 40-minute drive from where I lived.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. So I grew up in the South. My house was haunted actually growing up.
Really?
Yeah,
I
that
want
was
to know.
that one was actually kind of scary because we built the house. So it was like it was drawn, like I felt like things were drawn to me. And it was quite interesting. And I can tell you more about it if you want to know, but growing up I lived in the same town as The Walking Dead.
Where it's filmed.
Yes. And so I actually met some of those guys. Not as cool of a story as being near Lazy Masquerade, but I grew up in the town, and I actually met the guy Andrew Lincoln. He's the Rick or whatever. He's the main guy. He's actually British. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah. Funnily enough, one of my favorite shows, ghost shows, is called Afterlife. And they did 2 seasons of it. It's about this woman who sees ghosts, and he was the co-star. He was the co-star with this woman. It was like he's writing a book, and he's interviewing her about the paranormal because he's trying to debunk it all. And he's had a son who just died in a car accident, and so he's taking out all his grief, trying to write this book about debunking the paranormal. And he speaks to this woman, and over the episodes, other stuff happens. But eventually, he realizes his son is trying to tell him something, but he doesn't believe it. And the woman's like channels the spirit of his son, and it's really well done. It's really creepy. They only made 2 seasons because I think they literally killed off his character because he was going to go off and do that. So they gave it a fitting ending.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. I would recommend that show to any fans of the paranormal.
Really?
It's not overly long. There aren't that many episodes. I think there's only 12. So yeah, it's a good old show. I really liked Afterlife.
Nice. Is it similar to what's that one Ricky Gervais movie? No,
because that's a comedy.
Oh.
It's more serious than that. It's got really bleak overtones.
Okay.
It's not depressing, but it's definitely not something you watch and you feel like super happy after.
Okay.
Right. I think it's made that way so that you kind of, because it's to do with death and the possibility of life after it. It's, it gives you that, it puts you in the headspace to think about that. But I think it's really well done.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Speaking on the topic of, I guess, entertainment, TV shows, what, do you do anything, especially around the Halloween holiday? Well, first of all, do you like Halloween?
I do. I absolutely love Halloween.
Nice. I was hoping you'd say that. Halloween's my favorite holiday.
Yeah. It's mine as well. For me, it's better than Christmas.
Yeah.
Easter isn't even a holiday, and in England we don't have Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the best one.
So what do you do to prepare for Halloween? For me, I'm doing the streams. My wife and I have a list of movies we want to watch. I make it this huge deal. Like it's a bit like my birthday is in this month, so I'm like it's a party for me.
That's really cool. Our anniversary, our getting together anniversary is in October, so we're also celebrating that. But we put out decorations. We really try and go all out to dress up as well. Like we bought our costumes a few weeks ago.
Nice.
And we invite people around to do stuff while dressed up. Now that we've got the girls, we like to get the girls dressed up and go around trick or treating. Yeah, we really, really love Halloween. In England, it isn't very big. People don't really like it.
Really?
No, it's not popular. I'm really disappointed. I really wish it was like it is in the States.
Interesting.
But yeah, no, it's not. People just don't like it. Trick or treating isn't something a lot of people do. People even put signs on their doors saying trick or treaters unwelcome.
Really?
On Halloween night. So yeah, it's a bit crap.
Didn't Halloween start in England or Britain or something like that?
I don't know the history entirely, but I do think I know that it's All Saints Day.
Okay.
And that was then kind of amalgamated with pagan festivals to do with the solstice and stuff to become Halloween.
Right.
And it very well may have done, but yeah, I think in America, the United States, allowed Halloween to become what it has become,
Yeah.
which I think is amazing. But sadly, England are a bit more boring and they don't really care.
Interesting. Someone wants to know, I think you touched on it briefly, but Miss Creepy Tales wants to know, is Mortis Media going to have a Halloween special?
I am. Every year on Halloween night, I do a Halloween special of 100 ghost stories, not a compilation, all new ghost stories. Something I'm currently working on. As you can imagine, 100 ghost stories takes a hell of a long time
Wow.
to actually find. But yeah, every year I do that.
That's intense. Like, that must take a good... Because you're pumping out videos pretty steadily still. Like, you just came out with one last night, and then you came out with that other 40-minute ghost story one, which I watched a couple nights before that. So, are you still regularly uploading as well as doing that 100 ghost stories?
Yeah, it's still 3 times a week, generally speaking.
Wow.
I've currently got 37 ghost stories, so I'm still missing a number, but I've still got about a week and a bit, so yeah,
Okay.
just 13 days, so I'm still good. I want to
Yeah.
have it all recorded by like 5 days before, I think, just gives me enough time to chop it all up. It usually takes about 5 hours plus of recording for the
Yeah.
video to be about 4 hours long.
Yeah, no kidding. So when I record, I just record like a sentence or two, and then I edit it then and there. I can't do all of it at once. Is that what it sounds like you do that? You do it all at once?
No. I'll tell you what I do. I read it and I don't stop. If I make a mistake, I do this. Clap twice.
Really?
And that way, when I'm editing, I'll see the spike visually on the software.
Okay.
So all that I have to do is go to where the spike is and fix it, because I know roughly, because if you're reading, I don't know, the brown dog jumps over the black. See, I made a mistake, so I just start again.
Yeah.
The black dog jumps over the brown wall. Something like that. Because like roughly where you pause naturally.
Right.
And I just feel like it's so much quicker to read it in one go and then edit after, because it saves time. And I don't have a lot of time, so I've got to
Right.
make the most, especially time when the kids are quiet. So yeah, it has to be done that way.
Yeah, I was about to say, I have 2 dogs and just my wife, and even then, it's... I'm in an apartment. You probably got a sweet house or something set up, but I mean, the noise alone, I don't know how my mic picks up as much as it does, but yeah.
What I found is that the more quality your mic has, the more external sounds it picks up, because it's a better mic.
Yeah, I have 2 mics. One's a very cheap mic that I bought, or was a gift my first year of doing narrating, and then I got this other one about a year or 2 ago, and it picks up everything. It picks up cars driving by, so I have to be careful when I narrate. So it's yeah, that's crazy. I'm trying to think here. What is your favorite creepypasta / scary story? It's more of like a concept. Like, what are your favorite? Like, when you hear it, you're like, this terrifies me.
One that I've always remembered is, it's one that Mr. Creepypasta narrates. It's about a hotel, and it's like a haunted house. I think it's a haunted house or hotel. I can't remember which it is now, but there are like 9 rooms, and you have to beat all the rooms, and they get progressively worse. And then at the end, if you beat them, you don't die. You kind of like join the hotel.
Okay.
It's I can't even remember the title of it. I've listened to it so long ago, but it's always stuck with me. It's a really, really scary one. Tobias Wade's also a really good writer. I really like most of his stuff as well.
Okay.
He does really good creepypasta stuff.
Nice. Is he on Creepypasta Wiki?
I don't remember.
Is he on Reddit? Is that where you go?
I think he's on Reddit, but I have like an agreement with him where I can narrate any of his stories.
Oh, nice.
So long as I credit him, and I've done an audiobook for him as well. So we've got a fairly good relationship right now.
Interesting.
Oh yes, Miss Creepy Tales, No End House.
Nice.
That is it. Great pasta. I love that one.
So did you narrate that one, or is that?
I've never narrated that. I heard it from Mr. Creepypasta.
Okay, I'll have to check that one out tonight. Nice. Miss
Yeah.
Creepy Tales for the win. Thank you so much. White Cracker says, in some of my older videos, you can hear the mouse click. That is so true. That was, man, my first couple of videos. I've deleted about 50 videos when I first started. I just didn't have like a good rhythm. My audio was terrible. Mouse clicks. I still have some of my older videos that I haven't deleted yet with mouse clicks and stuff like that. Have you seen much progress in your channel in your narrating style?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've definitely improved. I actually did the same thing. I purged about 300 of my older videos.
What?
Because, yeah, at least 300 of them, because the sound quality just wasn't the same. And,
Oh, man.
you know, as you get better, you get a better setup. You're like, nah, you know what? I want to keep only what's really good up. And yeah, that's what I did. I just put them all away.
Oh my god.
They're all privatized, so I can still see them
Right.
if I want to.
Right.
And I've only ever unprivatized one, because one guy was like, "Hey," it's really sad to be honest, because I narrated a story that his dad told him, and then he typed it up, and he said, "Hey, my dad just died. It was his funeral, and we were talking, and somehow the story he said came up, and I said some guy narrated it on the internet." And I clicked the link you sent me, and it no longer works.
Oh,
Could you send me the link? So I said, "Hey, bro, yeah, I've unprivated the video. Listen to your heart's content." And he was like, "Thank you. It really means a lot." So it's like the only one that I've left out in case they ever want to listen to it again.
That's crazy. Wow, that's actually a really touching story. Wow. Was that hard?
It's actually a
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
a story, like, you know, the serial killer John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah.
His dad was, you know, really young at the time, hitchhiking, which was normal back then in like the 60s or whatever.
Way.
And he sticks his thumb out, waits a few minutes, and a car comes by. It's got John Wayne Gacy at the front. He obviously didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
And then two guys at the back, just like not saying anything.
What?
He gets in the front with John, and
No.
they're just, sort of chatting for a little bit. But then things start to get really creepy. You know, they say a few things, and he gets really uncomfortable. So after a few minutes of feeling like really odd, he gets a really bad feeling, and they pass the turning where he was supposed to get off. So he doesn't say a word, the dad, and the moment they get at a traffic light, he just unclicks the safety, opens the door, and just runs. They don't follow, and that's it. And he says that years later he was watching TV, and he was seeing this guy get not arrested, but you know, like he's being put on trial, or not on trial. Seeing him go to prison, basically. He's seen, like, everyone knows the consequences of, you know, everyone knows what he's done. And he tells his wife, you know, because this is years later, the story, and you know, his kids further down the line, he was like, that guy was the one who nearly killed me. Like, he didn't think he was going to die that day. He just thought they were weird. But little did he know that he was so close that day to actually dying if he hadn't have just jumped out that car.
That is so crazy. The concept alone of hitchhiking is terrifying, let alone, like, one of the most horrific serial killers. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's see. White Crackers wants to know, question for Mort. Have you ever had the idea of changing your content from your channel to something else? Have you always wanted horror?
Hold on, give me a sec. I just need water.
No, you're good. Yeah, definitely hydrate.
Ugh. Sorry. Right. Good to go. I'm going to be honest. For a while, I thought of not stopping what I do, but opening a channel entirely dedicated to Pokemon Go. But I didn't, because I loved horror too much. And I was like, nah, you know what? I can't be bothered. Just because I love what I do so much. I always wonder what would have happened if I would have opened a channel about that, but, you know, what would have is, you know, silly in the end. It doesn't do anything. But yeah, I don't, you know, that's probably the only time I thought I would have changed something. I've opened a number of different channels at different points doing different stuff in the past, none of them have really worked out, so I quickly stopped doing them.
Okay.
But yeah.
So
I'm
you're.
also going to answer
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Artzilla Ash's question. Aisha? Hope I said that right. She asked how do I prepare myself before narrating? What do I do? Drink water. And yeah, like all the stories I get, I put into a Google Doc and I organize them into categories. Like I've got to open here, like I've got ghost, I've got general, I've got gas station, I've got firefighter, I've got driving road trips, I've got deep woods, I've got cults, which quite frankly I never find enough of. And just I look through and see what I've got and think, do I have enough to make this video? And if I do, I just try and record it. That's all I do pretty much.
Wow, that's crazy. How long, like, let's say per hour, how long does it take you to, like, a YouTube hour? How many hours goes into that for you?
You mean like a video or recording?
Like a video. So every hour we see, like, so you have like a couple 3-hour videos. Like, let's just say you had a typical 1-hour video. How long does that on the back end? How much time do you spend in that 1 hour?
I'm gonna be honest, finding the stories is probably the hardest part.
Yeah.
Like you can spend like 4 hours a day and get no replies, and then you can spend 1 hour one day and get 20. It really depends. And then recording I'd say takes about 1.5 times what you record, because opening the stories, narrating it, interruptions, because there's always interruptions and everything.
Yeah.
Let's say it takes about 45 minutes. Let's say it takes an hour's worth of audio. It really takes an hour and a half. Finding the stories can call it 2 hours. That's already 3.5 hours. Then edits take about 45 minutes. That's 5. What is that, like? Just over 5 hours. 5 hours 15. Then obviously export, upload, thumbnail. You're looking at a good 7 hours, I suppose, for one video.
Wow.
If it's if it's under an hour, realistically.
That's crazy. Yeah, that definitely.
But how about you?
Well, so I'm a little bit different. So I write 98% of my stuff. So
I mean, that must take you even longer.
Oh, it's horrendous. Especially also, so I struggle with the writing part, and I also struggle. So I have pretty bad dyslexia. So I also struggle reading. So I have to have a certain way I narrate. So all my stories are blown up to a certain font where I can read them very well, and I have to follow along with my mouse, or else I get sidetracked, or like I just mess up. So it's a little. It takes a lot more on the back end. I would probably say every hour that I do takes around 4 or 5 hours. So probably around the same for you, I would say.
Yeah, it's not so bad, I don't think. I mean, I don't publish every day. But, that's just video. I mean, there's so much admin stuff to do as well.
So let me ask you, so what all different platforms do you use for your channel? So you obviously have YouTube. I see that you have a Patreon. Do you have a subreddit? Do you have a Discord? What are we looking at with your channel?
I have a subreddit, but it's only for the collection of stories.
Okay.
That is it. I've actually made it so that if any narrator or any person can use the stories on there, if you ever want to branch out, it's anyone can narrate. I make that quite explicit in the rules.
Really? What?
Yeah, anyone can narrate anything that's published on my subreddit. Because if someone submits it, you have to agree that any narrator can pick it up and use it. I say, I ask people to tell other people when they've narrated something on there. But yeah, I mean, it's just selfish keeping it for myself. If people want their story out there and I might miss it or not use it, it doesn't mean someone else doesn't have to do it.
What's your subreddit? I'm going to check it out right now.
Mortis Media.
Mortis Media? Okay. Mortis Media.
Yeah, I mean, it is generally true, scary stories, so I don't know if you'll find material on there for you personally, but who knows, maybe something will inspire you.
Wow, that is so, first of all, incredibly generous on your end to let other people use it, Because that's what 60%, 50% of the difficulty I feel with narrating.
Yeah.
Wow, that
Yeah,
is.
I mean,
Wow. Well, thank you. I would definitely utilize that. That's a huge. That's like a treasure trove for people like us. That's awesome.
oh yeah, it's all good.
Let's see. Oh, okay. Let's see. What other? Let me pull up my thing. You can hear my dog. Do you have any pets, by the way, Mortis?
We had a cat, but she lives with our mother-in-law and my mother-in-law and sister-in-law now.
Okay.
Because he was just used to the space we lived in, and it just didn't feel right moving him.
Okay. Interesting. I think you've kind of touched on this, but have you ever met any fans in real life?
No.
Really?
Never.
No one. Yeah, because I asked you earlier if anyone's ever recognized you, but no one, like, you don't ever wear like any of your merch and people come up to you or anything like that.
No. Just to answer White Cracker's cat person. Sorry, I like dogs, but a dog chased me up the stairs when I was young and bit me on the butt.
Oh,
and
no.
ever since then, I've definitely favoured cats more.
What kind of dog was it?
I don't even remember, bro. I was
No.
like 3 years old.
Oh,
I
dang.
just remember being chased.
Oh,
But
dang.
yeah,
That'll do it.
I mean, there is one thing. Like, I did collaborate with a guy called, Warren, who does the Night Floaters. Is his channel called the Night Floaters? I can't remember anymore. Sorry, the name's escaped me. Even though I get his notifications every time he. A Warning to the Curious. That's it. A Warning to the Curious. He actually met me in London to do a collaboration in person. You know, this
Wow.
other channel in the YouTube studio, which was nice. But yeah, and he says he likes my work, that he's a fan. So I mean, I suppose that, but like never anyone on the street.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying. I had one time. Not this. This doesn't come close. But I had one time where my brother called me. I think I was still in school or something. I had like 1,000 or maybe 2,000 subscribers, and they were talking. And he was working at Walmart at the time, and he was talking to one of his coworkers, and he actually followed me. Like, which, if you think about the world, like there's like 7 billion people. The fact, like 1,000 people or whatever spread across the world, like the odds, anyways, it just blows my mind. But he was like one of my subs at 1,000, and my brother met him, and he's like, they were talking, and he's like, oh yeah, my brother's a channel and stuff like that, and he's like, oh okay, who is he? And he said, oh, it's Entropic, and he's like, wait a minute, and he pulls up his phone, and he was subscribed to me, so my brother called me, and yeah, that was the guy wanted to talk to me, but that was the weirdest feeling I've ever had, because I was still incredibly small, I felt like at the time, and I don't know, it's just really weird. That's like the only time I've remotely ever felt famous, but it was crazy.
It's really good.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. I have a couple more questions here. Do you have a channel sponsor? And if so, who is it?
Nope. I mean, I get sponsors from time to time, but no one permanent.
No one permanent. Okay. Nice. Would you have an ideal sponsor?
Probably like a pillow company.
A pillow company?
Then people might actually buy this stuff, like
Nice.
Rest your head even better while listening to scary stories with the Betamax 4000 pillow. Maximum softness, something like that.
Dude, I'm sold. Yeah, we gotta, get Tempur-Pedic on the line, for sure.
Yeah.
No, so I'm a big sleep guy. Like, I gotta have my sleep. I have the Tempur-Pedic something. It was like a $60 pillow. It's got the cool gels on it. It's so nice. I have like a special sheet for it I put in it. Do you have, like, are you a big sleep guy as well? Do you have like a nice pillow?
I mean, I like sleeping, but no, we don't really get enough of it right now. But I don't have I've got a memory foam pillow because we were told they were really good. So we got those.
Okay.
But I'm gonna be honest. When I sleep, I'm dead. I literally put my head on the pillow, and within seconds, I'm gone.
Nice.
Unless something wakes me up, I don't wake up until the morning.
That's crazy.
I could sleep through a hurricane.
Really?
Yeah.
So let me ask you
such
this.
a heavy sleeper.
Let me ask you this then. If that was the case, I mean, if that's the case, so I'm assuming if you sleep through everything, have you ever experienced like sleep paralysis at all?
Nope, never.
Really? Wow. Let me tell you, that is a trip.
I know. I've read all about it.
Well, that's the thing. So I've experienced it about like a dozen times or so, and each time I go through one, it gets less severe, but it's like you can't really wrap your mind around it unless you have it. But it's legit like your body is a prison and you cannot move, and it is, and that's the half scary part. But the other part that is terrifying is that you hallucinate and you see things, which is absolutely terrifying. I had one time where it was in my old apartment I was staying at. I had sleep paralysis and I hallucinated a skinwalker at the
Oh my god.
at the side of my bed. And what scared me the most was he called me by my channel name. He said, "Entropic, you have to stop making videos." And then he disappeared. And I was I've never been more terrified in my life. So that's.
I mean, that does sound pretty creepy.
I was like, he's like,
If Jim Walker tells you to do something, you better do it.
yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Let's see here. I think we touched on most of my questions. I don't know. Do you have any questions or anything you want to talk about? Because I can talk conspiracy theories all day, and I don't want to take up your time or anything. Because I look at them like I feel like there's different things that could be true or not, but like I don't want you to feel like any subject is too silly to talk about. Like I'm just ecstatic that you're here. So if there's anything you want to talk about, I'd love to talk about it with you. Uh-oh, did I lose him again? Why do I keep losing him? It literally never happens. How do I keep losing him? Let me reset it. You there?
Hello?
Hey, sorry about that.
That's all right.
Sorry, so I missed your response. What do you want to, if there is anything? What
I mean, I can talk about a few conspiracy theories, but I'm not really subscribed to that many. I mean, I think Area 51 is definitely more than they say it is.
Yeah.
Do you remember that Storm Area 51 thing?
I do. That was a trip. That was so funny. It's like, yeah, it's like they can't stop all of us. And then they did another one where it's like storm the Vatican. Did you see that?
No. Did they actually try it?
I don't know about the Vatican, but some people definitely showed up at Area 51.
I know, but then it was like, they have guns. We
Yeah.
should go.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, have you watched any documentaries on Area 51?
I mean, not for a long time. Not for a long, long time, I'm going to be honest.
Okay, no, that's totally fine.
Yeah, but it has always interested me. I mean, when I was younger, I mean, I watched a conspiracy theory video that was about how the US never landed on the moon and it was all staged.
Right.
And you know, I think I was about 9, and my dad took me to NASA, and they were showing us the pictures of the moon landing on in a presentation.
Uh-huh.
And I said to the woman, "How come there are no stars on the picture?" You know, wanting to see how they'd react to my conspiracy theory-esque question.
Right.
And they were like, "Well, because it was taken while the sun was up and you can't see the stars."
Oh.
And I was like, "Oh, yeah, obviously."
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, no, that's a good one. I don't, me personally, I it's kind of, I mean, I don't see the purpose of why it would be not real, but I don't know. I guess.
I think it is real.
Yeah.
It was just my young brain trying to buy into crap, but.
Right. Well, so there's a couple of cool documentaries on Area 51. There's one with, this guy's name is Bob Lazar. He used to work there, and he basically shared a bunch of classified information. And at the time, I think because he like released it in like the 80s or whatever, and so everyone was like, oh, okay, this guy's a nut job, because he talks about different things of like different spacecraft. Like they have like a dozen or so at Area 51, and then they talked about like a scanner that would scan your hand, and it would measure the bones in your hand. And all these crazy things in the 80s, and no one really thought much of it. And then early 2000s, things slowly come leaking out of Area 51. And all this stuff that he says is true. And so they're like, wait a minute, this guy might have something. So he's on the Joe Rogan podcast. Bob Lazar is his name. But a lot of interesting things go on with that. A couple of years ago, the United States government, I don't know if they declassified it or they did something, but they basically said they actually acknowledged UFOs, and that they said they don't know where they come from, which is interesting.
That is interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think it was on CNN, or it was like it was a pretty reputable news source, where they're, like they just legit come out and they're like, yeah, we don't know what's going on. With that, I've met a couple of people here in the United States that have worked in the government, the private sector, or not private sector, the government, and they've told me different things. I don't know if they're true or not, but they're interesting. Definitely something to play around with in the mind. Some people told me that that they are breeding aliens with humans. They're like making hybrids or something. Which I don't know about that. I mean, that's pretty out there. But, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what kind of agenda that would propel or whatever. But, yeah, I don't know. Just interesting things like that. I don't know if you, do a lot of alien encounter stories or if you come across those or anything like that. But, that's kind of the basis on some of the abductions and things like that.
I mean, I've read them, but sometimes they're a bit too out there for me to personally believe them. But it doesn't mean I discount all of them. But it's just when someone says, I remember an alien picked me up and shoved something in my butt, and then it took me home, and it tried to wipe my memory, but I didn't forget. And, I think for some people this sounds like almost like your fantasy, like what you wish that happened, but right. You try and pass it off as true. Obviously, I've got no way of knowing, but yeah, it's interesting because you can never really tell.
Yeah. Well, and I feel especially different types of lifestyles. Like, I mean, if you're under the influence of like heavy prescription drugs or even illegal drugs, you could definitely think that something like that happens, where it definitely isn't happening. But that's where it gets difficult because you're like, what is truth and what is fiction?
Precisely.
Yeah, that's
it's a hard call.
Yeah. So here's my little thing, and this is my kind of little spiel with like the cryptids and things like that. Like if you look at the concept of like Bigfoot or things like that, I think that if they were to be real, they would have to have the aid of like alien technology, things like that. Like I know it sounds silly, but like for instance, like in any Sherlock Holmes book or like the show or whatever, you hear this outlandish thing where it's this, this is going on, and then everyone's like, oh, either it's fake or it's, it is what it is. But Sherlock, he looks at it and he's like, well, if this were to be true, this is how I would do it. And so I kind of look at cryptids along the same lines. I'm like, well, if Bigfoot were to be real, how would he be able to elude capture for so long? Or how would he be able to do, I don't know, how would there be different creatures that could shapeshift or whatever? Like, if those things were to be real, I feel like it would have the aid of alien technology. What do you think on that?
Well, I don't think that if there is a Bigfoot, it necessarily requires alien technology.
Right.
I mean, for all we know, Bigfoot could have been like let's say a subspecies of Homo sapien or of Homo erectus at one point in the nature's history, and it just evolved like a not as a well developed brain. But as the years went on, maybe they were hunted out by the Native Americans or driven away to really, really remote places. And there's just so few of them left. You know, the ones that have been seen are just, rare. And they're all dead now or mostly died off, or a tiny tribe in the middle of nowhere that no one can access. And they're just as ignorant of us, mostly, as we are of them. Maybe. It's just an idea.
Yeah. No, I definitely think that, like, I'll fly. So I live on the western part of the United States, and I'll fly over just hundreds of miles of just uninhabited land. I don't know if you have that with being over in Europe, but I think of that and I'm like, has all of this really been like discovered? Has all of this really So I think about that as well.
I mean, the answer is probably no. Like, no one goes that deep into all this forest because there's just simply no need to.
Right.
And it's like, even if you have a trail, like, how long is your trail going to be? Like, no one can take that many resources.
Right.
So, yeah, probably all this area that... And I mean, because, if you've read some stories that, like I said, to me personally are believable, so I can believe that there are these super remote places, because they are super remote and they do exist.
Right.
Where, this kind of stuff maybe just happens, and because no one can go in that deep.
Yeah.
Unless they're dropped by a helicopter and then picked up. The odds of them meeting one are really small.
Well, it's interesting. I feel like the concept of Bigfoot is interesting for a number of reasons. We have out west, we have the Skinwalker Ranch. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I live near that. And that's...
Really?
Yeah, I live pretty close to that. I haven't had the time to go investigate. My wife probably wouldn't want to go anyways, but a lot of that's... it's very mysterious and it's like blocked off for the most part. But that's kind of the theory behind the Skinwalker Ranch Bigfoot. But you look at like places like Alaska or like up, in different places. Like I definitely think that. It's interesting also, like you even you meet people that are like religious and they think that like Bigfoot is like old historical figures that have been cursed to walk the earth. It's very interesting. Have you heard the different theories where like Bigfoot has like there's like a population of them, like it's not just one or a couple, like it's like a family and it's like constantly breeding.
I mean, I've never heard that, but I would assume if they're out there, they probably would be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's interesting. Yeah, I think about that, and I don't necessarily believe in the hollow earth theory. I don't think there's another earth within the earth, but I think of concepts like the rake or like humanoid type creatures getting trapped under the earth's surface and somehow dwelling under there for a certain amount of time. I don't think it's necessarily impossible, but I don't know if you've ever seen the movie called The Descent.
No, never.
Okay, so that's basically the plot. Is there's hundreds, if not thousands of years ago, these people get trapped and they breed underground, and they turn into these golem-like creatures. What are your thoughts on like? Do you have any thoughts like that, or like the hollow earth? Do you think there's other species that are under the surface that resemble humans or other creatures that could be dangerous?
I think it's an interesting and fun theory to think about, but I don't think anything like that would be possible. It's just, there's no air down there, there's no light, there's no food. I mean,
yeah,
it's like worse than being stranded on Mars. There's nothing for you. Like, humans need light to see. And you're not gonna, like adapt to total darkness in one generation. It takes like hundreds, if not thousands, of years.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's very unlikely.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm with you there. It's like you said, it's something fun to think about. Yeah. So this will be like my last point, my last question for you. But what kind of prompts that is you've heard the quote by Nikola Tesla where he talks about we will live to see the day of man-made horrors. So that kind of falls under that for me a little bit. But what do you think? What's going to be like the next chapter in horror in the future? Like, what are going to be the man-made horrors that we're going to see?
Man-made. I don't know. Like, part of me thinks maybe biological engineering as a weapon might be something that could be big in horror. Like, we've all just been through the COVID-19 pandemic, but like, I think because it's fresh in everyone's mind, maybe the next step is talking about that, because it's horrifying to think that something like this can easily be made and then probably spread. So I think maybe the next big thing could be stuff that happens because of like airborne pathogens that are artificially created. I'm sure from there people can go like zombie movie, everyone dies in like post-apocalyptic Earth kind of movie, stuff like that. That's what I think the
right
might become quite popular. But I could be wrong.
So when I think of things like that, the first couple of things I think about the concept of like cloning. I think about people being abducted and then cloning them and then like harvesting organs. I think about that. I think about I'm a big Fallout fan. I think about like ghouls and like different like radiation spawned creatures, like humans. If they get too much radiation, they turn into these different things, or like I don't know, things like that. Like I think about like nuclear warfare, like what kind of species would grow in like a nuclear setting, like what they would look like. I also like look at the past as well. I'm kind of a not crazy person, but like I like to have fun. Like I'd like to write these stories, and I like to have fun with different stories. And so I look at like the past, and you see all of these gigantic dinosaurs and these gigantic mammals and things like that. And I think about trying to recreate something like that nowadays, like not necessarily like Jurassic Park, but things like that. I also think about like human splicing, like trying to get like humans to like create this hybrid human thing. I don't know, to get like the apex species or something like that. I don't know, just kind of crazy things. Like you said, I mean, they're fun to think about. I don't 1000% believe in them, but like for me, like the same concept with like Halloween, it's fun to think about, and I think if there is that possibility out there, I think it's fun to think about and talk about.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a really fun concept to consider, but yeah, I think it's really fun. I thought you meant like in terms of like horror stories people write for like TV and stuff, but yeah, the post-apocalyptic stuff really does get to me. Like, it does make me worried because like all this stuff that's happening with Russia. Yeah, like there's a lot of uncertainty, and it's like, if someone throws a nuke, it only takes one, and that's it. A whole lot of stuff is never going to be the same again.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you. I also think about like the concept of like spirits, and what if we somehow made a machine, like an AI machine, that could interface with like a spirit, in which the spirit could operate the machine.
I mean, that would change the world. It would change everything, because it would mean, it would like, if every religion had like a doctrine that said like this is what happens after you die, and then all of a sudden spirits are coming back and saying, actually you're wrong, this is what happened to us, a whole lot of things are going to fall apart pretty quickly. It's going to be really weird.
Yeah.
Really hard as well.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, that's, yeah. Yeah. Brandon in the chat says, 100% fan of both Morts. My favorite, and his app is amazing.
Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, yeah. What, before I let you go, are there you talked about a Halloween special. Is there anything coming up aside from the special, like anything on your app or anything with your merch or anything like that, that we should look forward to with the Mortis Media channel?
Not really, I'm afraid. I mean, I keep all my special stuff for Halloween night. It's just going to be regular stuff. until then. But it doesn't mean the regular isn't good. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a fun time.
Oh, we love the regular. Like, that's what why we're so, well, all of us are subscribed to you, because we love the regular. Yeah, I'll definitely be posting your the links to your Halloween special. That's something I'm gonna set aside. I'm not doing anything on Halloween night, so I'll make sure to set that aside for everyone. That's really awesome. Well, Mortis, I think I've taken up a ton of your time. I am so grateful for number one, just you responding to my Twitter post. But thank you so much for your time and for your effort that you put into your channel, all the inspiration that you do for so many people out there. Thank you for coming on the live stream and interacting with not only me but also my viewers as well. I know me personally, I had a great time with you. You're a very fascinating, very generous person. Not that I wasn't expecting that, but that was something very unexpected. You're very generous. I really like that about you. But thank you so much. I can't express how grateful I am for your time and the energy to be on here with me. I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's been really fun.
Yeah, well, I hope you had fun. I had tons of fun. This is going to be one of the highlights, one of the milestones for my channel for sure. You're amazing. I want to make sure people, I'm sure most people are already exposed to your channel, but I want to expose it even more if I can to what base I have to share it with. So yeah, if you're not already, definitely go check out Mortis Media. If you're subscribed to me, you should be subscribed to this guy 100%. He puts out a lot of great stuff. And also check out his app as well. Do you have a link that you want to post for the app? Or is it where can we find it?
It's just, hold on. I'll type it. Just go to mortismedia.com. It's like everything's there. The merch, the app. You can find all of it.
Nice.
But thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been really fun. And I'm sorry, but I'm just getting really tired now.
No, you're good. I've kept you too long. I am so grateful.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I enjoy these questions. I enjoy, thought-provoking stuff and talking all about this stuff. It's nice to speak about it with someone because,
right.
You can't really speak about this stuff to a 4-year-old. Like, tell me, Pandora.
Right.
What's your on Area 51? She'll just be like, what? Can we play trains now? So yeah. It's nice these conversations.
Oh yeah, and then like people like me, where I try to talk to my coworkers about this, and they're like, oh, this guy's crazy.
So not crazy, Nad.
So
I don't think. It's not true.
No, I'm just having fun. But I appreciate being with someone that like-minded on that. So yeah, no, I hope I was able to distract you long enough to distract you from reality for a little bit. But thank you so much. I'd love to work with you in the future. I don't know how how that would look, with whatever. But definitely stay in touch if you can. I would like to stay in touch with you. But once again,
my DMs are open on. Feel free to message me, like work together. Just shoot me a message, bro. I'm always here.
Okay, well, I appreciate you so much, Mortis. Well, hey, have a great evening. Have a great Halloween, and we're all looking forward to that Halloween special.
No worries, bro. Take care. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, man. Hey, well, have a great evening.
Like to you likewise. Bye.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye. All right. That was Mortis Media. Super cool guy. Could not say nicer things about that guy. That was so nice of him to join us. I'm a big fan of his channel. I am very impressed with him as a person as well as a narrator. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the first night of the Hallowstreams. So many great things to come. I could not plan a better first evening with a more talented narrator. I'm really grateful for him. Definitely go check him out. Give him all the support you can. Check out his merch, check out his app, Mortis Media. Thank you so much again for hopping on with us tonight. This is just for things to come. We got so many awesome narrators coming up throughout the next week or so. So thank you guys so much for joining us here tonight on the first night of Hallowstreams, and we will do it again tomorrow night. Have a great evening, and I'll see you in the next one.